During a backstage meeting at a prestigious interfaith charity gala in Beverly Hills, actor Jonathan Roumie and TV host Whoopi Goldberg were locked in an intense discussion about their upcoming panel when a frantic event coordinator burst through the doors with news that would shatter everything they thought they knew about faith. But what happened in that room wasn't just about the devastating earthquake that had struck the most sacred pilgrimage site in Jerusalem, leaving hundreds of Christians, Jews, and Muslims trapped together in the ancient ruins. It was about a secret that Jonathan had been carrying for months, something so profound about his spiritual journey that he had never shared publicly, not even with his closest friends. As the images flashed across the coordinator's tablet, showing the collapsed Western Wall, the damaged Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and the cracked Dome of the Rock, Jonathan's face went completely white. Whoopi noticed immediately that his reaction wasn't just about the tragedy unfolding on the screen. There was something deeper, something personal that she couldn't understand. Then, in a moment that would change both of their lives forever, Jonathan did something that shocked everyone in that elegant backstage lounge. He turned to Whoopi, his voice trembling with emotion, and said words that no one saw coming. "Whoopi, I need to tell you something I've never told anyone. 6 months ago, I had a vision during prayer, and what I saw happening in Jerusalem is exactly what's on that screen right now." The room fell into stunned silence as Jonathan continued, his hands shaking as he spoke. "I saw people of all faiths trapped together, and I saw something else, something that's about to happen that will either unite the world's religions forever or tear them apart completely." What followed would not only bridge the deepest religious divides in human history, but would reveal a spiritual connection between these two unlikely figures that defied everything the world thought it knew about faith, celebrity, and the mysterious ways that divine purpose works through the most unexpected people. The prophecy Jonathan had been carrying would unfold exactly as he had foreseen, and the choice that Whoopi would make in the next few moments would determine whether millions of believers around the world would find unity or descend into unprecedented religious chaos. Before we continue this story, if you're enjoying content like this, please subscribe to our channel and let us know where you're watching from. The news that had just reached them wasn't just another tragic headline that would fade from memory in a few news cycles. This was the beginning of what religious scholars would later call the most significant interfaith crisis of the modern era. And if Jonathan and Whoopi failed to act on what was about to unfold, the consequences would ripple through every synagogue, church, and mosque on the planet. The earthquake had struck during the holiest time of year, when thousands of pilgrims from Christianity, Judaism, and Islam had gathered simultaneously at their most sacred sites in Jerusalem's Old City. But here's what the media hadn't reported yet, what only Jonathan knew from his mysterious vision 6 months earlier. The earthquake wasn't random. It had occurred at the exact moment when representatives from all three faiths were meeting in secret beneath the Temple Mount, attempting to sign a historic peace accord that would have changed the relationship between these religions forever. Now, those same religious leaders, along with hundreds of innocent pilgrims, were trapped together in the underground chambers where the meeting was taking place. The collapsed tunnels had created a situation that was both a humanitarian disaster and a potential powder keg for religious conflict. If these leaders died together in those ruins, their deaths would be blamed on each other's faiths, igniting sectarian violence that could spread across the globe. But if they could be rescued and their secret peace mission revealed to the world, it would prove that unity between these ancient traditions was not only possible, but had been actively pursued by their highest authorities. Jonathan's vision had shown him exactly how this would unfold, but it had also revealed something else that made his blood run cold. He had seen that the rescue would only succeed if two unlikely messengers, two people from the entertainment world who represented different faith backgrounds, would come together to pray publicly for the trapped leaders and then lead a massive interfaith relief effort. The vision had been so specific that Jonathan had dismissed it as impossible. Until this very moment, when he found himself face to face with Whoopi Goldberg, watching the exact scenes he had witnessed in prayer 6 months ago playing out on a news tablet before their eyes. Before we continue this story, if you're enjoying content like this, please subscribe to our channel and let us know where you're watching from. The Beverly Hills Hotel's exclusive Sunset Ballroom had been transformed into an elegant gathering space for the city's most influential entertainment figures, all united for one evening around the cause of promoting interfaith understanding in Hollywood. Crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow over tables, adorned with symbols from various world religions, while soft jazz music played in the background as celebrities mingled before the evening's main panel discussion. Jonathan Roumie had arrived early, still processing the overwhelming success of The Chosen, and how his portrayal of Jesus had unexpectedly made him one of the most recognizable religious figures in entertainment. Despite his fame, he remained deeply private about his personal spiritual journey, carrying secrets about his faith experiences that he had never shared with anyone, not even his closest confidants. The weight of his recent visions had been particularly heavy on his mind lately, especially the recurring dream about Jerusalem that had haunted him for months. Whoopi Goldberg, meanwhile, had been looking forward to this event as a rare opportunity to discuss her complex relationship with faith in a setting that welcomed spiritual exploration. Her journey from Catholicism to Judaism had been public, but her ongoing spiritual evolution remained deeply personal and often misunderstood by both fans and critics. She had always been drawn to interfaith dialogue, seeing it as essential work in a world too often divided by religious differences. The backstage area where they found themselves was an intimate space behind the main ballroom, furnished with comfortable couches and adorned with artwork representing various spiritual traditions. Jonathan had been reviewing his speaking notes when Whoopi entered, and their conversation had naturally drifted toward their shared experiences of how faith intersected with their careers in entertainment. They discovered an unexpected common ground in their struggles with public perception versus private belief, and how their platforms carried responsibilities they never anticipated when they first entered show business. The discussion had grown deeper as they realized how rarely they got to speak with fellow entertainers who understood the unique challenges of being public figures with strong spiritual convictions. Jonathan found himself on the verge of sharing something he had never told anyone about his recent mystical experiences, while Whoopi sensed there was more to this soft-spoken actor than his public persona revealed. The elegant setting and the genuine connection forming between them had created the perfect atmosphere for authentic conversation. But neither could have predicted that their meeting was about to become the foundation for something far more significant than either of them had ever imagined. Before we continue this story, if you're enjoying content like this, please subscribe to our channel and let us know where you're watching from. The peaceful atmosphere in the backstage lounge was shattered when Sarah Martinez, the event's head coordinator, burst through the ornate double doors with her tablet clutched tightly in her trembling hands. Her usual composed demeanor had completely dissolved, replaced by the wide-eyed expression of someone who had just witnessed something unthinkable. Sarah's voice cracked as she struggled to find the words, her professional training warring with the magnitude of what she needed to communicate. "I'm so sorry to interrupt, but something catastrophic has happened in Jerusalem," she managed to say, her hands shaking as she held up the tablet displaying live news footage. The images were devastating beyond comprehension, showing ancient stone structures reduced to rubble, rescue vehicles with flashing lights cutting through clouds of dust, and crowds of people in various religious garments, standing in shocked silence around the perimeter of what had once been humanity's most sacred ground. Jonathan's face went ashen the moment his eyes focused on the screen, and Whoopi immediately noticed that his reaction was far more intense than the natural shock anyone would feel witnessing such tragedy. His hands began to shake visibly, and a look of terrified recognition crossed his features, as if he was watching a nightmare he had experienced before. "This can't be happening," Jonathan whispered, more to himself than to anyone else in the room, his voice carrying a weight that suggested this wasn't just sympathy for distant victims. Whoopi studied his face carefully, her intuitive nature picking up on the fact that Jonathan's response contained layers she couldn't understand. Something deeper than the appropriate grief anyone would feel for such a disaster. The footage continued to roll, showing the collapsed sections of the western wall, structural damage to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and cracks running through the golden dome of the rock. While rescue workers desperately searched for survivors in the underground areas where dozens of religious pilgrims and leaders had been gathered for what was supposed to be a historic interfaith ceremony. As the full scope of the disaster became clear, Jonathan's breathing became shallow and rapid, and he sank into one of the plush chairs as if his legs could no longer support him. Whoopi moved closer, her maternal instincts kicking in as she recognized that something about this tragedy was affecting Jonathan in a way that went far beyond normal human compassion. The room fell silent, except for the continued news coverage emanating from Sarah's tablet, creating a stark contrast between the elegant backstage setting and the devastating images of destruction playing out before their eyes. What none of them yet understood was that this moment would mark the beginning of the most extraordinary interfaith collaboration in modern history, sparked by a vision that Jonathan was about to reveal for the very first time. Before we continue this story, if you're enjoying content like this, please subscribe to our channel and let us know where you're watching from. The silence in the room grew heavy as Jonathan struggled with a decision that had been weighing on his heart for months, his hands trembling as he looked back and forth between the devastating images on the tablet and Whoopi's concerned face. The weight of his secret felt unbearable in that moment, especially as he watched the exact scenes from his vision playing out in real time on the news footage. Taking a deep, shuddering breath, Jonathan finally spoke the words that would change everything between them. "Whoopi, I have to tell you something that I've never told another living soul. Something that's going to sound impossible, but I swear to you it's true," he said, his voice barely above a whisper but filled with urgent intensity. 6 months ago, during my morning prayers, I had the most vivid vision I've ever experienced in my life. And what I saw happening in Jerusalem is exactly what's on that screen right now. Whoopi's eyebrows rose in surprise, but she didn't interrupt, sensing that Jonathan was sharing something profoundly personal and important. Jonathan continued, his words coming faster now as if a dam had burst inside him. "I saw the earthquake. I saw the ancient walls cracking. I saw people of different faiths trapped together underground. And I saw something else that hasn't happened yet. Something that's about to unfold that will either bring the world's religions together or tear them apart forever." His voice broke slightly as he described seeing religious leaders from all three Abrahamic faiths trapped in underground chambers beneath the Temple Mount, working together to survive while the world above assumed they were enemies. "In the vision, I saw that their rescue would only succeed if two unlikely people from the entertainment world, people who represented different faith backgrounds, came together to pray publicly and lead an interfaith relief effort," Jonathan said, his eyes locked on Whoopi's with desperate sincerity. "I thought I was losing my mind, Whoopi, until I walked into this room tonight and met you, and now I'm watching my vision become reality." The revelation hung in the air like electricity, and Whoopi felt a chill run down her spine as she processed the implications of what Jonathan was telling her. Without hesitation, she reached out and took his hands in hers, her voice steady and filled with unexpected conviction. "Jonathan, I don't pretend to understand how these things work, but I believe you. And if God or the universe or whatever force is greater than us has brought us together for this moment, then I'm ready to do whatever needs to be done." In that instant, something shifted in the room, as if the very air around them had been charged with purpose, and both of them knew that their lives had just taken a turn towards something extraordinary and sacred that neither of them fully understood, but both felt called to embrace. The moment Whoopi spoke those words of acceptance, Jonathan's trembling stopped, and a fierce determination took over. "We have less than 24 hours," he said, his voice now steady with purpose. "My vision showed me exactly what we need to do." Whoopi was already pulling out her phone. "I can get us on every major network within hours," she declared. "My producers will clear airtime immediately." Jonathan began pacing, his mind racing. "I have direct connections with Christian leaders worldwide through The Chosen, and they trust me completely. But we need Jewish and Muslim voices too, prominent ones who can unite their communities instead of dividing them." Sarah stepped forward with her tablet. "Half the entertainment industry's most influential people are in that ballroom right now, including several with massive followings in different faith communities." Whoopi's eyes lit up. "That's it! A coalition spanning different religions, different platforms, different audiences. If we coordinate this right, we can reach millions simultaneously." Within minutes, they had outlined their plan. A joint television appearance within 12 hours, a coordinated social media campaign involving dozens of celebrities, and a massive fundraising effort for both rescue operations and long-term interfaith healing. "There's one more thing," Jonathan said, his voice carrying the weight of prophecy again. "We need to go to Jerusalem ourselves. The vision showed me that our physical presence there is crucial for what comes next." Whoopi didn't hesitate. "Then that's what we'll do. Whatever this costs us, whatever criticism we face, this is bigger than our careers." The plan was set. In less than 18 hours, they would be on a plane to Jerusalem, carrying with them the hopes of millions and the promise of Jonathan's vision that unity was not just possible, but destined. 18 hours later, Jonathan and Whoopi stood together at the Jerusalem rescue site, surrounded by thousands of volunteers from different faiths, working side by side to save the trapped religious leaders below. Their joint television appearance had generated over 50 million views and millions in relief funding. But what happened next would shock the world even more. As they joined hands with rabbis, priests, and imams in an impromptu prayer circle at the rescue perimeter, word crackled through the radios that contact had been established with the trapped leaders underground. The news that followed sent shockwaves through the crowd. The religious leaders weren't just trapped together, they were actively working together. And they had been in the middle of signing a secret peace accord between all three faiths when the earthquake struck. The moment captured in photographs around the world showed Jonathan and Whoopi praying with rescue workers of every faith, their unity creating a powerful symbol that would appear on front pages globally. Within hours, the rescue teams successfully brought all the religious leaders to safety, and their first public statement together changed everything the world thought it knew about interfaith relations. Standing together at the rescue site, covered in dust but alive, the Christian, Jewish, and Muslim leaders announced that they would continue their peace mission publicly, with Jonathan and Whoopi serving as their celebrity ambassadors to help spread their message of unity to entertainment audiences worldwide. The secret peace accord that had been interrupted by the earthquake was signed right there at the rescue site, witnessed by millions through live television coverage, marking the beginning of the most significant interfaith collaboration in modern history. What had started as a rescue mission had become the birth of a global movement, with two unlikely entertainment figures at its center, proving that sometimes the most powerful prophecies come true through the most unexpected messengers. 6 months after that miraculous day in Jerusalem, Jonathan and Whoopi returned to the Holy City. But this time, they were not responding to a crisis. They were celebrating the most remarkable transformation in interfaith relations that the modern world had ever witnessed. The underground chambers where religious leaders had once been trapped together had been carefully restored and converted into the Jerusalem Center for Interfaith Understanding, a permanent institution where representatives from Christianity, Judaism, and Islam worked together daily on projects that would have seemed impossible just months earlier. The rescue operation had succeeded beyond anyone's wildest dreams. not just in saving lives, but in revealing the secret peace accord that the religious leaders had been working on for years in private. When the world learned that these faith leaders had been meeting regularly to find common ground and had been on the verge of signing a historic agreement when the earthquake struck, it shattered decades of assumptions about religious incompatibility and opened hearts to possibilities that had long been dismissed as naive idealism. Jonathan's prophetic vision had proven accurate in every detail, but even he had not foreseen the global movement that would grow from that moment of crisis and prayer. Their joint foundation, established with the funds raised during those first crucial days, had become the largest interfaith humanitarian organization in the world, coordinating relief efforts and peace-building initiatives across continents. The transformation went far beyond institutional changes, touching individual lives in ways that rippled through families and communities everywhere. Whoopi often spoke about how the experience had deepened her own spiritual journey, while Jonathan found that his portrayal of Jesus had taken on new dimensions of authenticity and universal appeal that transcended denominational boundaries. During their return visit, they stood together once again at the Western Wall. But this time, they were joined by hundreds of pilgrims from all faiths who had traveled to Jerusalem specifically to pray together in the spirit of unity that Jonathan and Whoopi had helped to kindle. The sight of Christians, Jews, and Muslims standing shoulder to shoulder in prayer had become common in Jerusalem, transforming the ancient city into a living symbol of the peace that was possible when people chose love over division. As they prepared to return home, Rabbi Stern, who had become a close friend and collaborator, offered a reflection that captured the miraculous nature of what had transpired. "Sometimes, God speaks through prophets and visions," he said with a smile. "And sometimes, God speaks through actors and talk show hosts who have the courage to listen and act on what they hear." The partnership between Jonathan and Whoopi had proven that faith could indeed move mountains, that entertainment figures could be powerful forces for spiritual healing, and that when people choose to see each other as children of the same divine love, miracles become not just possible, but inevitable. Their story became more than a tale of celebrity activism. It became a testament to the truth that authentic faith always calls people toward unity, compassion, and service to others, regardless of the different paths they take to reach the same divine destination.